Thank you guys very much for having me today. And I want to echo the thank you to Tim Hogan's. I've done this 3 years now. I think it's my third time, and you guys have been the sponsor each time. So I want to say thank you for your continued support of the chamber and myself. So thank you very much. I also want to say thank you to Jasmine Barbie is around here. She has it. I take great pride in putting my slides together myself, but I've had a crazy last few weeks. So she has helped me put the slides together. There's a lot of information on here. We're going to cover some of it. I've had a lot of fun working with Commissioner Wright and the rest of the board over the last few years. It's truly been an honor to be your mayor, and we've had a lot of fun. However, as we stand today, I don't necessarily have anything active that I can't talk about. So if you guys remember the first time that I did this, I introduced myself, my family, a little bit about, tried to create the relationship because I had a lot of stuff I was working on. Didn't really want to, talk about it. Last year, we talked about things that have happened over the last 10, 15 years to get us to this point, because again, we had a lot of active things that we didn't necessarily want to talk about. However, today, I'll tell you some stories of some big wins. I'll tell you some stories of some losses and some things that we're just kind of waiting to happen. But today is truly a state of the city. Where are we? Where have we come in the last 3 years? So it's going to be information heavy. And I expect if you have questions at the end, bring them on. I'm an open book, and I'm a big believer. If you took the time out to come out today, I hope you learned something that maybe somebody else that didn't take the time to come out today learns. So I'm happy to share whatever I can with you. I've got seven. Yeah. Oh, did I have it backwards? It's inverted. The arrows look very similar. There's the 7 different things that I'll be covering today, and we're gonna start with economic development, which is, like I said, a lot of information, but it's very exciting. We're gonna cover parks, we're gonna cover city planning, infrastructure, roads. So like I said, this is an information-heavy, presentation that we're gonna give today. But, again, with the thank you to Tim Hogan's, if you guys remember where we were in 2014 or so, we had just lost the Kroger, and we didn't have a whole lot of sales tax. A lot of people don't realize this, but Tim Hogan's is a big business, and they're one of the ones that helped us pay our bills when there wasn't a whole lot else going on. So again, thank you very much. We also started, as you guys remember, when we had kind of the school system come in, we decided at the very front end that we weren't going to necessarily take on any new debt until we got the school system under control. It took a whole lot longer than we expected, but you'll notice that these dominoes are starting to fall pretty quickly now. And the reason why they're starting to fall pretty quickly is because we had our wish list. We did all of our homework. We knew what we wanted. We just couldn't take any risk of not being able to fund the school system first. But once we got it completed K through 12, things started falling. Not to mention the Chamber of Commerce just continued getting stronger and stronger, and it still continues to get stronger over that time period. So as we were building up our wish list, building up our resources, taking care of old business that need to be taken care of, the chamber was also doing the same, building a huge community. And it's because of y'all's hard work that we're able to knock these dominoes down one after the other. So you'll notice in the top left-hand corner here, Lakeland Town Square. Lakeland Town Square was one of the first in my tenure to kick off with new sales tax revenue. You'll notice in the bottom right-hand corner, we'll talk about the sales tax that had grown. But what it doesn't tell you the story of was basically the immediate 3 years of the Lake District right before I became mayor. And the Lake District and Aldi, here's a little bit of story about the Aldi. Aldi was supposed to go on the other side of the street. I don't know if you guys know that or not. They came to us. We were working with the economic development, and it was Dexter Muller came to me and said, I'm sorry, Mr. Vice Mayor at the time, we lost Aldi." I said, "Hold on, no, we didn't. Did they sign anything? Did they start a building? No, they didn't." They said, "Well, they chose Memphis." I said, "Well, how about this? Tell them they can have the land." "What?" "Yeah, tell them they can have the land. See if that works. The city will buy the land for them." They said, "Are you sure you can get that done?" I said, "I have no idea, but I have a lot of people in our corner that want that sales tax revenue." So Mr. Dexter Muller went to him and said, "Hey, the city believes that they can get you the land. Would that change your mind?" They said, "Yes." We happen to have a developer that had the land across the street where they are now. that wanted them so bad that they were willing to actually donate the land to them. So the reason Aldi's is here is because your board was very creative, asking the question and seeing what the answer was. So the immediate 3 years before before I became mayor, our sales tax revenue basically went from under $1 million to what you see now in the bottom right-hand corner, roughly 2.7 million, roughly 2.7. And then as I became mayor, the Lakeland Town Square came on board, and that has continued to grow. Lakeland Town Square, as you guys know, is a live work situation. A lot of people work from home, decide to make that their residency. You'll look on the screen, it's over 90% occupied. And we're continuing to see new businesses come in left and right. There's new businesses that are being announced all the time in that area. You'll see in the middle of the screen new big businesses since 2023, and it goes all the way from Chick-fil-A all the way down to the Lake District Wine. All of that has come in just the last 3 years, and that's the reason why you see our sales tax revenue grow. So sales tax revenue, why is it so important? In the city of Lakeland, our property tax is worth for a penny with it being what's that called? Revalued? We'll call it revalued. We'll all agree revalue. The revalue has basically moved our property tax to around $60,000 per penny. So if we ask you for 1 penny of property tax, that means we're trying to raise roughly $60,000. So you'll notice in 2023 it was 2.7 million. It's now going to be roughly 3.2 million. Not great at math, but let's call it 600,000. That's about 10 cents. So when you see everyone else raising property taxes around town, all the way from Bartlett to Carterville to Germantown, we didn't raise taxes because of the effort that was put into this room to be able to make ourselves a desirable community to people that want to come and do business here. So we did raise taxes, but we did it in a way that was basically creating more business for everybody. So 10 cents on the property tax is what that would have been. If you take a look at our property taxes have grown from 4.8 to 5.9. Some of that was from the reassessment. That's the word I'm looking for, the reassessment, right? Some of that was from the reassessment, but some of it was from you guys deciding that you wanted to invest in your community. I don't want to downplay that at all, but if you guys remember, one of the very first things we did when we got into office was we decided that, we'll talk about it more in the coming slides, but we wanted to try to get crime down to almost zero, which we did in West Tennessee, right outside of Memphis. And we did that by tearing down 2 hotels that were crime-ridden hotspots. And you guys lined up, you remember, Wesley, it was probably 10 or 15, 20 people out the door, said, yes, we're happy to pay 15 cents if that meant we got rid of the 2 hotels. And guess what? Within 1 year of being elected, it was done. So you'll notice that our property tax next year is scheduled to be at about $6.5 million. And so you would ask, why is that? Again, it's because of growth. So if we take a look at 5.9, which is this year, to again 6.5 next year, we'll call that another 600,000. So we're not raising taxes, but collectively we're raising more as a group because people want to be a part of what you guys are doing. So again, we didn't raise 20 or 30 cents on our property tax like some communities did, but we do have more money because more people are wanting to be a part of this community. So that's the reason why you see us having the lowest property tax in all of Shelby County, is because of what you guys are doing. Parks and Rec is a very near and dear to my heart because before we got started in this whole endeavor, we had pretty much 0 parks. We had some rec, right? A lot of hard work went on from the city, and God bless them. They were working on pretty much 1 or 2 fields. They were trying to cram about 15 different programs. And in the middle of that, they decided they wanted to create a adult flag football league. But, it worked. So we were able to create, in partnership with the school system, 6 or 7 multi-use fields on Old Brownsville Road. But most recently, right before I came, they created a park right at Old Brownsville. It's now called, not Old Brownsville, Memphis Arlington, now called the Brody Townsend Park. which was renamed in honor of Brody Townsend, who's been an inspiration to our community and has very well deserved. But if you will, take a look at, we've got all kinds of parks and rec facilities happening. Again, those weren't necessarily happening just a few years ago. This is a picture of 4 of those things, and the top left is our new jumbotron, we'll call it. I think there's still some kinks to work out on the jumbotron, but it's there, and it's going strong. That was a partnership to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the school system. So, again, with Vice Mayor Wright's help, we threw it out there. What would we like to do to be able to commemorate the 10 years? What could we give as a gift that would be icing on the cake and scream, "We're celebrating"? Well, there's nothing that screams celebrating like a huge jumbotron. And so that's exactly what we did. And we saw the first game maybe 3 weeks ago. Does that sound about right? Somewhere around 3 weeks ago. So we're still in the infancy of, figuring out how it works, getting, everything up and running, but it looks great. And it's a big deal. You'll see the bottom left-hand side was the dedication to Brody Townsend, a young man that lost his life to cancer. On the bottom right-hand side, you'll see that we have redone a pavilion that during the storms was knocked down. We have it. We had a longtime employee. Miss Deborah was here for over 25 years. So the plan is to name that pavilion after her at some point. We've reached out to her family to try to coordinate things of that nature. So that's still ongoing, but you heard it here first, right? So in the upper right-hand corner, this is the T-ball field. This is something that I've been working towards for, I don't know, it's been my response when someone asks about rec or fields or what we have access to. My response has always been, we don't have one public diamond in the city of Lakeland. I drive by Bolivar. I drive by these smaller towns that you would think Lakeland can, match the amenities of. They must love baseball a whole lot more out there because this is our first diamond. We've been fortunate enough, the school system has state-of-the-art softball, state-of-the-art baseball, who just won state championship, right? That was awesome. And again, you heard it here first. Miss Cheyenne is working towards, with Jasmine, working towards what it would look like to get that home of 2025 state baseball champ sign when you come into the city of Lakeland, when you leave. So we're going to remind everybody as they come in the city, as they leave, that we're champs at a lot of things, but we're definitely champs at baseball for the last year. So, but what you see is a T-ball field in the upper right-hand corner. This is with the help of Mick Wright. So Mick Wright had some funding. I didn't realize how important the county commission was in their different funding. I always thought it was just like, oh, icing on the cake, or, what they say in New Orleans, a little something special, right? No, they published everything that Bartlett was able to get done with this money. They've got a ton of it done. So when it came time, when Mick Wright reached out, he had some other ideas about what to do with it. And I was like, hey, if I can be selfish for 1 second, we still don't have a diamond, and it would be great to have a T-ball field in the city of Lakeland. So what you see here is the look from the backstop. You'll notice that it's a full-on diamond. We've got our own version of the small green wall in the left-hand side of the outfield. Both have dugouts. We're hoping as time goes by with more partnership with the school system to be able to create additional fields. But this is one that we're very proud of, and we couldn't have done it without the help of the county commission. And so anyway, so enhanced city planning. This is the part that isn't necessarily fun to talk about, but it is the part that we have been doing for the last 6 or 7 years. The city of Lakeland did not have a property tax until roughly 2013, 2014. We had an agreement with everyone that lived in the city of Lakeland that We weren't necessarily going to offer services, but we also weren't going to necessarily property tax you. So what that meant was there wasn't very many incentives, and there wasn't a whole lot of planning going on about what your city or our city will look like in the next 20 or 30 years. Pretty much zero planning going on, right? Because it was kind of hard to ask someone to have some give and take when there wasn't really any give and take happening. So at our last municipal planning commission, the MPC, who is the board appointed by myself, full of super duper professionals, like the most impressive group of people you can imagine. They not only hear folks that come into town and talk about what they would like to have put up, but they also try to set the direction with our planning guidelines of what our city could look like in the future. And we had our very first instance of that happen in the last few weeks. At our last meeting, we rezoned a piece of land. If you go past Chick-fil-A and you turn into, I'm gonna call it Stonebridge, the very first right, on the right-hand side, it is vacant land, and it's considered highly desirable retail property, meaning that if, could end up being a Whataburger or something there one day, right? That's or your favorite restaurant, we'll call it that, right? There one day, right? Well, guess what? In our planning, the feedback we got was that's not what we want. We want to protect it as rural as possible. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we decided to take that highly desirable retail piece of property and rezone it into residential. So now, once those 6 or 7 homes are built, they're not going to have to worry about who comes after us or what they could possibly approve because there will be people living there. To take that one step further, what we've decided, and through the land development regulations and through the study that we just did, we decided that we wanted basically 4 corridors of commercial business. And we're going to do everything we can to keep it that way. And the reason for it is to maintain our rural feel right outside of the city of Memphis. You guys realize we butt up with the city of Memphis. And so to have what we have and protect our natural resources on the closest edge possible to, a top 50 metro area is pretty insane that we're doing that level of protection and growing the business community in the same way. Most of those two things don't go together. Usually have one or the other. Again, starting with the school system and having a top-rated school system allows us the flexibility to ask people to do things that we wouldn't normally ask them to do, which is, pay a little bit higher price point for a house right on the edge of a metro area that we're also trying to preserve natural resources. So we're doing a lot of things that aren't necessarily by the normal playbook. So those 4 areas are going to be Highway 70, which was already built out, so we couldn't do a whole lot about that, but you'll see in further slides what we did do about it or are in the process of doing. The Gateway District, which is where we tore the 2 hotels down, and we'll talk a little bit more in a second where the community center is going to go. Lakeland Town Square, and Lakeland Town Square also has a counterpart on the other side of the street. So those 2 areas, it's called Lakeland Meadows. Those 2 areas are our last commercial district. So 70, Town Square, Gateway District. I'm gonna call it 3 then, all right? So that's pretty much it for that. You'll notice our goal is to balance effort. This is only possible because of the team that we've been able to put together and the vision of the Board of Commissioners and their willingness to say no to possible partners that sometimes it's hard to say no to, but we've been able to do it. So here's the Lakeland Community Center. This is going to be a transformational milestone. Thanks for that wording, Jasmine. I love it. A transformational milestone. And the reason why it's a transformational milestone is because not only what came before it, which was a crime hotspot, but what's going to come after it. So it's a 45,000 square foot facility. It's going to be a partnership with YMCA of Memphis and the Mid-South. They're going to operate it, but it is going to be Lakeland Community Center. So I want to make sure that that is 100% clear. So what you guys see with the Bartlett rec, where it's less expensive if you're a Bartlett resident, more expensive if you're not, we'll have that very similar model here as well. We will, if you take a look at the vision for it, you'll notice that we've got a 6-lane pool on the top right-hand corner there. This is going to be exactly what you would expect at a YMCA managed facility. This will be exactly what you expect as far as a community center. They'll also will be open to the public for renting of the facility because, as it's been brought up to me many times, you don't necessarily have a large banquet type facility. This will also play that role. So we'll be able to do multiple things at the same time. On the previous slide, you'll notice that it cost $30 million through the taxes that we raised in order to isn't it funny you raised? Now I'm going to say you raised so it means same thing twice. But anyway, the taxes that we raised in order to raise the two hotels down was roughly 15 cents. That's only about $1 million. So that's only enough money to fund about half of this project. The reason why it's transformational is because it's a true partnership with YMCA of Memphis in the Mid-South. They have been able to help us fund the additional part through the state of Tennessee. A lot of people don't realize this, but what we're sitting in right now is considered a childcare desert. You see, we have multiple childcare providers throughout the city of Lakeland, but if you take a look at 10-mile radius of where you would drive, there's not enough. And so because of that, the state of Tennessee is kicking in funding to help with this project, to help the YMCA serve that underserved area. We'll also have a USDA loan, the same way that we did the city, and we also have the TIF. So I haven't brought up the word TIF yet because it's kind of a convoluted term, but it means tax increment financing. And so the reason why we have those three areas of investing is because two of those areas are where we were able to create TIFs, which basically means that whatever we bring out of the ground, as far as going vertical, we're also able to use a portion of that sales tax revenue. And here's another place where the county commission comes in. 70% of that property tax revenue is generated by the county. So the county has decided they want to partner with us and allow for the developer to get some of those monies back when they pay their property taxes. Basically, it's like a circle. They pay their property tax. Some of the property tax comes back to them in exchange for creating immense value for Shelby County. Anybody want to guess how much that immense value is up to? Assuming it's all built out, just think of like, what was that guy? $1 billion. That's about Austin Powers, right? So that is about what we have been able to create. Well done, sir. That we've been able to create as far as additional value. And a lot of people don't realize this, but property taxes helps with a lot of things. One of the things it doesn't necessarily help a lot with is Shelby County school funding, which we know the Shelby County schools out separate and apart from the city of Lakeland schools, right? They rely heavily on sales tax. So one of the things that we're doing as you see us creeping up these sales taxes from roughly $400,000 in 2013, thank you to Tim Hogan's, all the way up to almost, what was our number? Almost $4 million. That tenfold increase, a portion of that is going to support Shelby County schools. And so we're doing our part for West Tennessee, Memphis, and Shelby County to help grow economic jobs, stability, education. Lakeland isn't just about Lakeland. Lakeland's part of a bigger community, and we're grateful to be a part of that. Infrastructure, roads, engineering. I said I was going to talk for about 30 minutes. So I don't know where I am in that process, but if I get over about 40 minutes, raise your hand and I will just move to the end. All right. Infrastructure, roads, annual paving. You'll notice we moved from about $1.5 million to next year is going to be almost $4 million. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about because we were like 20 and 30,000 in 2011 and 12. And I'm not making fun of anybody, right? Because we didn't have the money. I told you we didn't have a property tax. So like, where were we going to get the money from? Well, at that time it was Kroger, and Kroger decided they wanted to be on the other side of the street. Other side of the street is not Lakeland. Quit calling it Lakeland Kroger. Quit it. All right. So anyway, our paving budget has went from 1.48 to $4 million. So I told you guys that we're around 50 or 60 cents. You guys know our property tax after we did the reassessment and leveled it. We didn't raise it like everybody else. It's somewhere around 95 cents. 95 cents times 50,000 is roughly $4.5 million. You see the number on the screen is 3.7 million. Almost 100% of your property taxes is going to paving. So when you talk about, oh, the pothole, or this needs to happen, or that needs to happen, we're literally spending almost every dime we have to try to get it up to speed. So just letting you know, we're doing everything we possibly can. And one of the cool things that we've been able to do is get partnerships with patching. So you may not have noticed because it's a small thing, but we've now moved the patching to where rather than our team digging the patch out and then coming back and getting what they call a hot box and filling it, we're now digging it out and then calling somebody and saying, hey, basically you've got 24 hours to fill it. So you'll notice that we've been able to do a lot more patching faster. Canada Road feels a whole lot better. Certain neighborhoods feel a whole lot better because that patching is happening pretty fast. There is one big project that everybody likes to talk about, and I'm going to skim over it. I wasn't a fan of it when it came out, to be honest, because I felt like, what's wrong with Old Canada Road, right? I mean, we're still getting from point A to point B. But again, I'm not necessarily a city planner, and the city planners told me, Josh, you have no idea how many people your city are going to attract, and you're going to need to move all of those people from point A to point B, especially if you get a really nice grocer right in the middle of it, and it attracts people from all different counties. I said, okay, great. So this project has been going on for almost 20 years. I signed the paperwork almost a month ago to do what's called interim financing. So the financing, the money's in the house, the horses in the barn, however you want to say it, it's happening. So even though this has shown up on pretty much every slide for 20 years, next year when it shows up, you should actually see some progress on it. So for those of you that don't know, New Canada Road will split off, or I guess it's New Canada Road. New Canada Road will split off from Canada Road pretty much right past where you see all the dirt work happening right now. When it splits off, it's going to go through Plantation Hills neighborhood. If you drive through Plantation Hills neighborhood now, you'll notice that the street goes for a little bit, then it stops. Then it goes for a little bit longer. Well, where it stops in the middle is going to be the street. It was supposed to be 4 lanes with additional like pedestrian or bike riding. I think now it's mostly 2 lanes all the way through so that we only have to get funding one time and we can try to complete the whole project as fast as possible. But what that means is that there's more aesthetics. So we should be able to spend more time and energy on what the road looks and feels like and maintain that neighborhood feel through this new thoroughfare through the middle of Lakeland. It's got a project completion on it. Just don't look at that, right? Because I think the first time it was 2014, right? All right, so public safety. This is something that is so much a part of what we've been doing that we've invested over $6 million in it, mainly through 2 hotels. But we've also, you'll see the picture on the screen is through the flock cameras. The flock cameras have actually got to where now they can take video. So before they've been just a license plate reader, and they read license plates and they let people know, hey, is there stolen cars or somebody that you need to go check in on? Those are happening, and they've all been kind of after the fact, if you will. I've been really working with them to be more proactive, but you'll notice that we've got in our budget to add 40 additional of them. That basically just helps law enforcement do their job and do their job better. At the very bottom left-hand side of this, you'll notice it talks about the Highway 70 safety program. One of the TIFs that were approved last year was to try to make Highway 70 safer. We have currently in the budget right now to put up a stoplight at Evergreen and Highway 70. You'd be surprised how long it takes to get something like that approved. So just because you have the money, it takes quite a long time to actually get it through the system. So they're doing traffic studies and we'll move through that. So the rest of the TIF will be to make Highway 70 safer, but also to make all of Lakeland safer. And we'll take a look at some ideas that we could do with that. So 2 things I want to tell you guys about. Let me make sure it's, yep. So the first thing I want to tell you about is the Tennessee Highway Patrol. If you haven't heard, Tennessee Highway Patrol is putting their District 4 headquarters in the city of Lakeland. and it's going to be right behind Sonic. So when I talked about what we did on Highway 64, didn't have a whole lot that we could do, but we can do our very darndest to make it safer, right? That is our area that where we butt up against the city of Memphis, and we will have the Tennessee Highway Patrol. They're responsible for 64, 40, and 70, and Canada Road. They'll traverse between all three of those back and forth. You'll notice the size of it is 23,000 square feet, projected $11 million. It's projected to open September of 2026. Those 23,000 square feet will be full of cars and people coming and going. So we will make Highway 64 safer with the help of Tennessee Highway Patrol. The second thing that we are doing, and again, the Shelby County Commission, I can't emphasize it, they will have, you heard it here first, they will have it on their agenda at their next meeting, sponsored by Commissioner Mick Wright. At the expense of the city of Lakeland, they will have a spot at the Lake District. So if you drive into the Lake District, you see Starbucks on the right. If you kept going, drove all the way through the wall, that would be their wall. And they should have a star on the end of it. So the city of Lakeland is paying for the build out. The city of Lakeland is paying for the annual rent. The city of Lakeland is paying for everything, but what they're in exchange for Shelby County Sheriff's Office manning an office in the city of Lakeland. So again, between an actual physical presence in the city of Lakeland and for Shelby County Sheriff's Office, and an actual physical presence in the city of Lakeland for Tennessee Highway Patrol, in addition to the flock cameras, in addition to taking down crime hotspots, in addition to neighborhood patrols, in addition to creating additional lighting in Stonebridge. We've been working on for the last year where we could add lights to lighten up areas that may seem dark, gone through all of that. So in addition to all of that, you guys have somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 incidences, reportable incidences a month. And the vast majority of those are unlocked cars. So that was not the case 3 years ago. So we are making tremendous strides on that. Community engagement, we have a social media consistency. We just brought on a communications person, wave to everybody. That's Christina. She is, I guess, responsible for this YouTube filming that's happening here, right? So we'll be YouTube famous. But anyway, we're doing our best to get as a consistent message out to the citizens. We have a community advisory board currently headed by Vice Mayor Dial. If you would like to serve on that board, basically the way it works is you have one or two people from each different area of the city that are represented. So, community events. I don't know if you guys heard, but we had our very first fireworks show this year. It was amazing. Shelby County Sheriff was happy to be a part of it. They said that we knocked it out of the park. And again, we were able to do it on school property. Thank you very much for the support. This whole project was about $50,000 because we had a band, you name it. It was very well attended, and it brings us together not only through the lamp, but through different community events like this is what allows us to create the cohesive feel, and it supports what the chamber's doing, because the more we can support from a city, the more people are going to want to be a part of what you guys are doing. You'll notice that we have a weekly city managers update. If you just want to know the facts and nothing else, it just came out today. But the city manager report comes out every roughly Wednesday, and it talks about what happened over the last week. So some of what I discussed, you'll learn as well. Adopt a Street program, you see that as you drive by, we're trying to get, keep the city as clean as possible. We've had people that, had their names on Adopt a Street and weren't necessarily active anymore. We have revamped that program. We need residents to participate in it. If you would like a section of your street, or if you have a homeowners association or anything of that nature, and you would like to be a part of it, let me know. So you'll see we have moved all the way down to the last slide. And the last slide always talks about 2026 or our future goals. What do you guys think our future goals are going to be if they weren't on the screen? It's going to be continuing doing what we've already been doing. We've been very successful in growing sales tax, growing property taxes, supporting the people that need to be supported so that we can have a flagship community that most people are proud of. And we're going to continue to do that. So I want to thank everyone for having me today. Be happy to answer any questions if you have them. And again, go Lakema.